Hello everyone, it's Becca from Becca Books and Bujo, and today we are talking about all of the books I read in the month of May. I read like crazy in May. I read 17 books, which is crazy. That's a lot. I don't know, I was in a big audiobook kick, I was in a big romance kick, thanks to the Smut Den Readathon, and so yeah, I have a lot of really good books in this pile of books here. And we're just going to start with the order I read them in, because I also thought it would be fun to tell you what books checked off what prompts for going through the Escape the Readathon. I participated in that readathon that was hosted by Lexi from Books with Lexi, and you were trying to get through this haunted house, and every however many books you got to a door and you had to choose a prompt to get through the door. And I can tell you about which books I picked for those prompts to try to help my team get through the door. Now, unfortunately, my team did not win, but good job to film crew. Okay, so first of all, this readathon, you were just supposed to start mood reading. So I picked what I thought would be an easy, fast read, and I chose, oh, I didn't even do stats. Well, that's a bummer. I don't have my computer, so I can't tell you the stats of these books. That's my most favorite part. Here, I'll put in some slides of my stats. Enjoy. Okay, now we can talk about the first book. The first book I completed in May was This Is What Happy Looks Like by Jennifer E. Smith. This is a young adult romance about a boy who lives in California and a girl who lives in Maine, and they somehow oddly unite over an email thread because the gentleman has an incorrect email for someone who's supposed to be watching his pet pig, and strikes up a conversation with this girl, and they end up falling in love, and he ends up shooting his film there because he's a film star. And yeah, it was fine. It was enjoyable, but it was definitely geared toward young adults. The last time I read Jennifer E. Smith, I read The Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight, and I probably was in the correct age range for that book. And so now I'm picking up her things later in life, and they're maybe just not hitting as right for me because I am an older adult now. So anyway, it was cute, it was sweet. I think a girl in high school or middle school would really like this one. Because this readathon was based on book count, I did decide to split Loathe to Love You into 3 books. So the next book I finished was Under One Roof by Allie Hazelwood. Allie Hazelwood's books follow the same formula, I feel. There's always this teeny little girl, and she meets this huge, strong man, super tall, and they are always kind of in some sort of forced proximity, usually. Yeah, actually. Most of these are forced proximity. And they fall in love. So in this one, we follow Mara. And she was left her aunt or godmother's home. And when she decides to move in, there's a catch, because this aunt / godmother, whatever she is, family friend, also left the house to this man named Liam. And so they have to share this house. Mara is doing this because she's severely in debt and needs to save some money, and so she thinks she can stay with Liam until she makes enough money to move out and get a nice place to live. But of course, they fall in love. So it was a cute one. I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I didn't say. This Is What Happy Looks Like, 3 stars. Under One Roof, the first in the STEMist novella collection, I gave 4 stars. I liked it. I really like Allie Hazelwood. You have to look past the huge, brawny man and the teeny petite little girl, and then you can enjoy. But I usually enjoy her character development and the steaminess that she has in these books. Anyway, we'll return to this once I read the other novellas. Next, I finished Keeper of the Lost Cities by Shannon Messenger. This is the second, I should say it's called Exile, which is the second in the Keeper of the Lost Cities series. I really enjoy my time with Sophie. She, in the first book, this is the second, in the first, she finds out that she's an elf and has to go to school and learn about her powers. And in this one, something terribly tragic happens to one of her best friend's dads, and she takes it upon herself to try to fix him. So it's always really fun, and it usually ends in a cliffhanger. The first two have kind of ended in cliffhangers, and so I am definitely looking forward to getting to the next one, seeing what happens next in Sophie and all of her friends' lives. I gave this 4 stars. I should say, I did not read a book for door number 1 in Escape the Readathon. The prompts were cover that matches a host's thumbnail or a favorite color on the cover. And I was going to do blue or something, but I ended up not being able to log a book in time because my group read so fast that I wasn't even able to help unlock door 1. So then for door 2, the prompts were more than forward title or author's most recent release, and I decided to read for author's most recent release, The Testaments by Margaret Atwood. This is her most recent novel. This is the sequel, kind of, to The Handmaid's Tale, which is a modern classic that I really, really loved when I read it. I enjoy the television series on Hulu, and I wanted to see what Margaret Atwood did with the world of Gilead after we follow of Fred. I don't think she's ever actually named in The Handmaid's Tale, but in the television series, her name is June. Anyway, this one, we get testaments from 2 girls and from Lydia, Aunt Lydia, who is crazy. And I just really love the way that Margaret Atwood makes you want to hear more about this crazy society in which women are only used for their reproduction. I don't know, it's like this terrifying, almost too close to home situation, but it's so intriguing. So I really enjoyed it. I loved the writing style, how you get the personal testaments from 2 girls who have very important storylines in the whole June of Fred situation, but then also Aunt Lydia. And you hated Aunt Lydia in the first book because what she did to these girls to make them handmaids, but then you really like Lydia in this book. At least I did. So I really, really loved this one. I gave it 5 stars. I hold The Handmaid's Tale and now The Testaments close to my heart. They are very, very good books. The next book I read was another 5-star, and what a trip it was. I read Verity by Colleen Hoover. This book literally had my jaw on the floor. Yeah, I couldn't believe what was happening. Anyway, we follow a young woman named Lowen who is a writer, and she is hired to finish an author's series. This author, why can't I remember her name? Verity. How silly am I? Okay, Verity has become medically incapable of writing or finishing this contract she had, and so Verity's husband decides to hire an author to finish the series. In order to finish the series, she goes to her at-home office. Lowen goes to Verity's at-home office to try to get in her head, look at some of the notes that Verity has taken and planned for future books. But in the process, she finds a manuscript of Verity's life and how psycho Verity truly is. But then at the end, it's like, is she really psycho? I'm not going to give too much more away, but it is just phenomenal. I couldn't stop reading it. It's so good. I love Colleen Hoover and what she can do to make me impulsively read a book. If I didn't say 5 stars. Then I have my Kindle here because I read Anne of Green Gables on my Kindle. This is by Ellen Montgomery. It is a middle grade classic about Anne, who is an adopted young girl. She's adopted by Matthew and Marilla Cuthbert. And they originally wanted a boy, but somehow are matched with, I don't know why I'm still holding this. They are matched with Anne, and they fall in love with Anne's spunk and her quirky personality. Anne gets into some sticky situations and has to talk her way out of them, but also learn how to be humble and apologize for when she does wrong. I really just loved every second I spent reading this book. I am hoping to continue on in this series. I know that there's 8 or maybe more books. I can't figure out the exact amount, but I really loved Anne of Green Gables, and I'm so glad I finally read it. I should say, Anne of Green Gables covered a prompt for a readathon, for the readathon door number 3. It was a required read because it was on my deck of TBR. Another one that was a required read was Stuck With You by Allie Hazelwood. This was also on my deck of TBR, so I counted it as a book for door number 3. Anyway, Stuck With You, we follow the second friend in this group of friends. All these 3 girls are friends, which is kind of cool because you hear about them in the other novellas. Anyway, this one we follow Sadie, who is an engineer focusing on like green or building structures in an economically well way. I don't know how to say that. Sadie gets stuck in an elevator with her nemesis, an engineer in this huge big company that is a few floors down from them in their same office building. And I guess the other thing about all of these 3 is they're kind of like jumping around in time. So Sadie and this boy, why can't I think of his name? Ian? No, that's the other one. Eric. They had this one night stand where Sadie believed she was in love and then found out that Eric was possibly using her for plans that they had with a client. So she got all pissed, but they had to duke it out in an elevator because they got stuck, naturally, stuck with you, and all made up, kissy kissy, lovey lovey. Sweet. But again, very big tall man, small, short, scrawny little girl. I gave this one 4 stars though because I liked the banter and the a little bit more complex emotions with stuff going on with their work life that they thought was there but wasn't. Miscommunication. It's always there in romance novels, isn't it? Okay, moving on. I read The Push by Ashley Audrain. I'm not going to talk about this too much because it will be coming up in a reading vlog where I read my favorite booktubers' favorites, but I read The Push by Ashley Audrain, and this is a psychological suspense, domestic thriller kind of book. We follow Blythe, who is a mother, and she doesn't always necessarily like being a mother. I think I'm just gonna put it at that. I don't want to give anything away. It is a wild time. There's some crazy things that happen, and I think the moral of this book is that women should have the choice if they want to become mothers or not, based on their backgrounds or how they feel like they could nurture a human being, and we should let them have that choice. Anyway, that's all I'm gonna go with this. You'll hear more of my thoughts in a future reading vlog. Next, for that same reading vlog, I read Sparks Like Stars, which was another favorite booktuber's favorite. This is by Nadia Hashimi, and this is a historical fiction where we follow a young girl from Afghanistan. She has survived this coup on the president's palace in Afghanistan in 1978, and we follow her as she kind of deals with the grief of losing everyone in her life and how she is the lone survivor of this overthrow of the government. We follow her in her childhood as she gets established in the United States, but then we also follow her as she goes back to Afghanistan to get some closure about what happened to her and her family. More thoughts will come in the upcoming reading vlog, but it was a really, really good book, and I gave it 5 stars. None of those counted for any doors. I was just checking to make sure. Next, I wanted some more Colleen Hoover, and I had been needing to read It Starts With Us because my sister lent this to me probably a year or more ago. And so when I saw this at the library, I couldn't help myself, and I picked up It Ends With Us and read it within 2 days because it's just so good. I have read this before, so this was a reread and just as good as I remember it. Yeah, it's good. In this one, we follow Lily Bloom and her new relationship with this man named Ryle. He is a neurosurgeon, I think, or some sort of surgeon. And ultimately, that relationship is very bad for Lily. And this whole time she's in this relationship with Ryle, she's remembering her very first love with Atlas. And it's just like, it pulls on your heartstrings. It makes you consider the relationships that people are in, and you never really know what's going on underneath the surface. And it also makes you just like have this nostalgia about your first love, and it's really, really sweet. So I enjoyed this one. Gave it 5 stars again, because Colleen Hoover just has this like way of pulling you so deeply into her stories. I took a brief interlude in between It Ends With Us and It Starts With Us to read Sunny, because for one of the Escape the Readathon prompts, it was read a book that starts with the last letter of the last book you just read. So I had read It Ends With Us, and I read Sunny by Jason Reynolds. This is the 3rd in the track series. Sunny, I think, is my favorite so far of these books. I really enjoyed his quirkiness. At the very end of the book, Jason Reynolds comes on, and I was listening to it. So he comes on and talks about how being the black weirdo isn't really talked a lot about, but there's always one that everybody knows about. And so I just loved that he brought out the black weirdo in Sunny. Sunny was quirky. He sang a lot. He rhymed a lot, rapped a lot, but he was always true to himself and decided in this book to do things the way he wanted instead of the way his parents would have wanted him to. So this one was really good. I gave it 5 stars. I think, again, it'll be the favorite in the track series for me. Then I went back to It Starts With Us, and it was just so perfect that for the same door, the other prompt, when it was last letter to first letter, the other prompt was the next color in the rainbow. And so I read Sunny, which was green, and then I read It Starts With Us, which was blue. So I got to submit this as a prompt as well, or as a book for that prompt. Anyway, It Starts With Us. Maybe not a necessary sequel to It Ends With Us. I feel like It Ends With Us stands on its own. I love the ambiguity of the ending, but Colleen Hoover capitalized on the fact that people loved It Ends With Us and decided to return to Atlas and Lily's story. Now I love Atlas and Lily, and so I was super okay with getting back into their relationship and seeing what would happen with them. But yeah, just maybe not. I mean, I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars, but I don't know. It just like didn't measure up to It Ends With Us, and I almost feel like it wasn't necessary, even though I still love Lily and Atlas. I liked digging into Atlas's character quite a bit more, and even learning about a relationship that he never knew about, a sibling that he never knew about. And it just, yeah, it was good, because again, I don't know what it is about Colleen Hoover. She can pull you into a story. And so I loved returning to these characters and seeing what happened next for them. Next, it was Into the Smut Den readathon time. Again, 72 hours in the Smut Den readathon time. And so I needed to pick up romances that I could read quickly. The first prompt I got was a 3+ word title, and I decided to read Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. I read It Happened One Summer maybe a year and a half ago and loved it. That one is kind of like Schitt's Creek mixed with romance, and it was really, really good. In Hook, Line, and Sinker, we follow the main character in It Happened One Summer, her sister. So this one follows Hannah, and she returns to this hometown, this teeny town in Washington, a fishing town, and starts up a relationship with the town's playboy, the bad boy. And there's a lot more going on with the bad boy, and yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. If you want to hear more of my thoughts, you can watch my Into the Smut Den readathon vlog. I'll link that up above. But I enjoyed it. It was a good amount of steam. It was a good story, and talked a lot about how men are seen as sexual beings and only that, and so they're not allowed to show any emotion. And so I liked that dialogue. I gave this one 4 stars. Okay, then I was able to pick up the last in the STEMinist novella collection. I read Below Zero by Allie Hazelwood. I think this was my least favorite of all of the Allie Hazelwoods I've read. This one follows Hannah again. Yeah, Hannah. So this was weird. Hook, Line, and Sinker had a main character, Hannah, and now Below Zero has a main character, Hannah. Hannah and this man that is big and brawny and buff, they work at NASA developing Mars rovers. Kind of cool. But in this instance, opposite of Hook, Line, and Sinker, Hannah, the woman, is the one who doesn't feel like she can emotionally commit to a relationship. So yeah, I don't know. This was the shortest in the novella collection. I talked about this in my reading blog. This was the shortest, and so I just don't feel like there was enough time or development of the characters or the story for me to jump in and really love it. Didn't even like the steam as much. So I don't know. This one was just kind of middle of the road for me. 3 stars for Below Zero. That prompt was blue cover for the Smut Den, by the way. Then I picked up Honey and Spice by Bolu Babalola. This was a really good time. This is a fake dating romance. We follow our main character, Kiki. She runs this radio show on her college campus where she gives advice about relationships for college women. Just as soon as she badmouths one of the new boys on campus, she is seen kissing him at a nightclub. And so to maintain her reputation as a relationship guru, she decides that she needs to fake date this boy, Malachi. And of course, we all know what fake dating leads to. I just don't understand. I mean, I love fake dating, but that like never happens in real life. And why are we all so attached to fake dating tropes? I don't know. It's interesting, but it's good. So this was a good one. I really liked it. I think a very underrated romance that I haven't heard much about. So pick it up if you like fake dating tropes. Almost done. Second to last book. For the last book in my Smut Den readathon vlog, I picked up Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. In this one, we follow 3rd grade teacher Hazel and Josh. What does Josh do? I don't know what Josh does. Doesn't matter. Just thought I'd give you some backstory. Anyway, they met long ago in college, but have reunited like 10 years later because Hazel is really good friends with Josh's sister. They strike up this friendship and become really, really good friends, best friends. But Hazel's like, no, there's no feelings there whatsoever. So let's go on all of these double dates. We'll try to set each other up with this perfect person. And while they're going on these double dates, they're basically kind of dating each other. And it was sweet. I enjoyed the relationship that Josh and Hazel were able to form, even though they claimed they weren't forming anything. There was a trope at the end that I maybe wasn't super excited about, but that would give away the ending, and so I'm not going to share that with you. But I was kind of there for it. I don't know. I like Christina Lauren. I think they write really well. So I gave this one 4 stars as well. I feel like this wrap up is all over the place. I think I've said this before, but reading wrap ups are like my least favorite to film for some reason. They like really intimidate me. But the last book I finished at like 11:30 last night, because it's June 1st when I'm filming this. May 31st is Happy Place by Emily Henry. Another romance. Man, I've had so many romance this month, but I'm really digging it right now. They're all kind of like meshing together though, so that's difficult. Anyway, Happy Place. We follow, why can't I think of her name? Harriet, of course. Harriet, they call her Harry or Hare. Harriet, who is reuniting with her 2 best friends, Cleo and Sabrina. They have this long-standing tradition of going to Maine to Sabrina's cottage. And so they're spending a week in Maine, she thinks, with Sabrina and her significant other and Cleo and her significant other. She does not think that Win, her ex-fiance, will be there. But when she gets there, Win is there. But nobody knows that they broke up. So it's this like fake dating, second chance romance thing where they need to stay together for the week because of some other situation that's going on with the friendship of these 6 friends. And it's, I don't know. There's something about Emily Henry's writing and the way she can write a romance, but also create these deep characters and other issues that are going on with these characters. So I really, really liked it. I actually don't think I've officially rated it yet. I think the ending was just leaving me a little bit lacking, and so I think I am going to give it 4, maybe 4.5 stars. But I do love Emily Henry's writing, and I should say, I gave Book Lovers, did I give Book Lovers 5 stars? When did I read Book Lovers? I must have read Book Lovers last year. I think I gave Book Lovers 5 stars. People We Meet on Vacation, I think I only gave 3 stars, so I didn't like that one. 4.5 stars for Happy Place. So I'm interested to see what I would think of Beach Read. It's weird that all of her books are kind of all over the place, but I still remember the story. So I think Emily Henry has this lasting way of keeping a story in your brain. Yes, is that a good way to put it? It's late. It's late on a very long day. My kids had a tough night tonight. So anyway, sorry if I'm making no sense in this wrap up, but I really enjoyed Happy Place by Emily Henry, and I am excited to pick up anything more that she puts out. So I'm still a little bit bummed that I don't know my stats, but there was if you were keeping track, there was a lot of 5 stars. 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5. 5 for sure, which out of 17 is 33%. That's pretty good. Pretty good. I'm trying to make a beautiful stack for you. All for you. Nope. Try to get them in this beautiful order. I like my size to be from biggest to smallest. Why am I telling you all this? Ta-da! Here it is. This is only 13 or 14 of the books, because some of them were just strictly audio. Some of them were ebooks. So yeah, pretty proud of this stack, especially considering there were so many 5 stars. It was a really good reading month. Nothing less than a 3 star. So super amazing. Super happy with this reading month and looking forward to what June has to offer. So let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books and what your thoughts were on them. If you agreed with me, if you didn't, let's have some bookish conversation down below. Thank you so much for watching. Like this video on your way out. Consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already and you would like to see more bookish and bullet journaling content from me. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!